Welcome to The Hook by Adventures in Americana. I'm Christine Davis. Holy Joke began as singer-songwriter Greg Taylor's solo recording project, but after guitarist and pedal steel player Max Berg, bassist Mike Vendiola, and drummer Jonah Penningroth joined him, it developed into a full-fledged Chicago band, one that lets country instrumentation coexist with expansive, sometimes unruly indie rock. Now, following two EPs and several years of performing together, Holy Joke has released its first full length album, First Light to Fill My Eyes. Its songs circle around memory, separation, and the complicated question of when something is truly over. Greg Taylor joins me now on The Hook. Greg, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Holy Joke began with you recording the No Way Home EP by yourself, then gradually became a full fledged band. Was there a particular rehearsal or performance when you realized this isn't my solo project anymore? This is us?
Yeah, that's a great question, and you really did your homework. That's really nice. Thank you. Um, so yeah, and it was I think 2022 when I recorded the first EP, which was just some songs that I had kicking around. And I mean, it was honestly before we even played together. I honestly saw Jonah play drums in this duo project that they have with another one of our friends, Josh Rubeck, called Better Odds. At the time, it was just the two of them. Now they have more people, but it was Jonah on drums and Josh on guitar and vocals, and they were both singing, and it was just it was just so fun to watch. And I was like, oh my gosh, this has to be a full band. I can't do this by myself, and Jonah has to be the drummer. I didn't know Jonah well at the time. It was sort of this is sort of delusional on my part, but I was like, this is it. This is the perfect thing. And so I asked Jonah. They were down. I asked Max because Max is incredible, and I knew Max is amazing. And Mike played bass in the other project that I was in that I still am in. And everybody said yes. Everybody was excited, and we had our first show was at Montrose Saloon, and even that I was like, this is perfect. It just cohered so instantaneously. It was right away. There was no downtime.
So once Max, Mike, and Jonah became part of the band, did that change the way you wrote? And are you now hearing their particular instincts while you're still working out a song?
Absolutely. I mean, once we started rehearsing together, writing became so much easier. Songs just flowed out because I knew I like a lot of music is everybody's experience of music when they play with people that they enjoy playing with. It's trust, right? And so like I just trust them so much to see the vision and to bring their own vision to every song that um I feel so much more confident with my ideas knowing that these people that I trust are going to be the ones to play it. So absolutely, it was also very immediate. Um, Several songs. Basically, the second EP that we released, all those songs I wrote maybe in the first 6 months of playing together. They just kind of fell out once the band was together. They just made sense.
Before we get into the album, I have to ask about the name Holy Joke. What exactly does it mean for you, and what made it the right name for the band?
Yeah, that's another good question. So you know, I mean, the best answer for why that's the name is because I think it sounds cool. But the real like story behind it, um, when I still wasn't sure about whether this was going to be a solo thing or a full band, it was Thanksgiving of 2022, and I was in Chicago. Was doing I did Thanksgiving at a friend's place, and was talking about I don't know whether to do a band or whatever. And my friend said, "Well, I've got a copy of Finnegan's Wake. Let's just like thumb through that and see what comes out." And we were kind of looking at phrases, and we saw this phrase "Holy Joe," which is can mean like a term to like just a man of the cloth, right? A priest. But it also can mean it can be an insult saying that somebody's like being sanctimonious, like, oh, they're being a real holy Joe. And I just really liked that phrase. I thought it was kind of funny. And did a bunch of word associations with it. And I thought saying holy joke was kind of like even more kind of tongue in cheek and even more bringing out that aspect of it. So I think it's a good, I think personally I think it's a good reflection because so my family, like my grandparents, ran a Pentecostal and then later chilled out and became a non-denominational church in Ohio. And so, and I like grew up going, I went to the Catholic school growing up and had sort of, and I grew up in the South. So like religion was like very intense, and was like a big part of my kind of like early life. And now it's, not so much. But a lot of those things kind of shaped me in weird ways. And so I think bringing some like levity to that topic is nice for me personally. Um, and also the band, at least I the songs are serious. The songs mean a lot to me. I put a lot into the lyrics, but I do hope that they're fun to listen to. So I think the name is a little light, and I hope that that reflects kind of like as a band, like when you see us, I think we're friendly. I think we're approachable. I think it's engaging to be at our shows. So um, uh, I think the name reflects that kind of ethos that we have as players.
In addition to being the title track, First Light to Fill My Eyes is also the line from the song Calling It Quits. It's a striking phrase suggesting awakening, revelation, or seeing something clearly for the first time. Where did that line come from and what made it feel like the right title for the album as a whole?
Yeah. So the lyrics to Calling It Quits all come from a trip that I took with the other band that I play in, which is called Mid American Elevator. Also great band, and great friends of mine. We went out to Galena, Illinois. We do somewhat frequently. One of the singers has their family has a cabin out there. So all this song is sort of all about that weekend, or all imagery from that weekend. The chorus is like the chorus makes it feel like a love song, which it would, it ostensibly is. Every song's a love song. Um, but the verses are all sort of about, in addition to just being imagery about the trip, they reflect kind of like anxiety and kind of like your brain. You literally use the word buzzing in the chorus. Just like being kind of too there being too much going on to handle. Um, but the phrase literally came from at this house. It's a cabin, and they don't like it's not occupied for much of the year. So there's no blinds on the windows. There's literally no blinds on the windows. That line about blinds is literal in the chorus. And so you wake up in the morning. It's 7 in the morning. You're just getting pelted by the sun. So it literally came from that. But you know, thinking about somebody you know who's on your mind and um taking up a lot of like emotional and like intellectual space, like i was I had this feeling of like you being like the first thing you think of when you wake up in the morning, and the last thing you think about um before you go to bed. And that was really what I was experiencing at the time. Um and yeah, that kind of tumbling of words just kind of fell out and felt like the perfect reflection. As for why it's the title of the record, there were a lot of phrases. I wanted the record to be a phrase from one of the songs. I didn't feel like any of the song titles really worked, but I wanted it to be a phrase in the lyrics. And a lot of the other phrases felt really melancholy, that I liked, and I didn't think that the album itself was that kind of morose. And I thought that it is like First Light to Fill My Eyes. It feels like wistful to me, and which I think is right for a lot of the tone of the record, but also valenced positive. So that just felt like the right thing. And then when we got the imagery for the album cover, it was like, yes, this is the thing. This is right. Yeah.
The album opens with Center of the Universe, which is nearly 6 minutes long, an unusually patient way to begin a record. Why did that song need so much room, and what did you want the listener to experience before moving on?
Yeah, starting with Center of the Universe feels like a bold choice to me, and so that's why we did it. And what I imagine as you start listening to Center of the Universe is sort of like you're in our world now. Like welcome. You're going through the portal. Um, the the song is pretty simple. The beginning, there's a lot of repeated lyrics. There's the chords are very simple. And the outro, I mean, when I wrote the chart originally, I was like, trust me, guys, the outro, just E, just E. We're just gonna play E, and we're gonna see what happens. And what happens, I think, is magical. That the take that we put on the record, most of everything is live except for the synths and like the vocals that I added later. But guitar, drums, bass, that all just happened live in the studio. We didn't have a skeleton for the outro jam. Um, and uh, yeah, I sort of see that song as like going through the wormhole of like now we're in the world of the album. Like this is, put away the outside. We're here now. And that's what the song, I mean, the song is about like, you know, like experiencing like a tender moment with somebody where you feel like there's nothing else in the world. Um and so yeah, that feels like our um we're grabbing the listener and saying like come with us and come on this journey with us.
Holy Joke's music is rooted in country and Americana, but it doesn't feel overly reverent about tradition. When you're arranging a song, how do you know when it needs pedal steel, restraint, and when it needs to get louder, stranger, less recognizably country? And I'm thinking about tracks like Lost My Mind that starts off with like a country boogie and then ends with like psych rock, distorted guitar.
Yeah. I there are a lot of bands in Chicago that are real country bands. We are not one of those bands. And so I don't feel basically it's like if you want a straight ahead honky tonk George Jones style song, like we'll do that for you, but that's never gonna be our thing. I grew up on that kind of music, and so that's always with me. I'm always like those are the things that's like the vocabulary that I'm gonna reach for. Um, but I also grew up on, Radiohead and like, just like indie rock of the 90s through teens. And so I want those things in there too. And I think whenever something starts to feel too on the nose, like genre wise, I think we all have this instinct to like push against it. I think it can go two ways. You either lean in and go, okay, this is going to be the most country song you've ever heard in your life, and then there's got to be something that like takes you out of it. And like I mean, and that's exactly what Lost My Mind is. Like there's this middle section that's just pure noise, and then it breaks down into this like harmonized guitar solo thing. And as far as pedal steel goes, it's a texture, and it's maybe an overused texture right now. I think there are a lot of
I
people.
cannot get enough of it. I
Okay,
love
good.
that
That's
sound.
good to hear. That's good to hear. Yeah, and it's almost like a not like a part. I don't want to say it's a party trick, but it's a color, it's a palette, it's a color on the palette. Like I really love finger picking, and a lot of music that I've written has centered around finger picking, and that feels like a thing to pull out at a moment to be effective. I never will just want to like drown a track in pedal steel just to make it twangy. I'm using air quotes there. Yeah, yeah.
You spent several years becoming a band on stage before making the album. What can Holy Joke do in a live room now that you couldn't do when the project began? And was there anything about that live chemistry that proved especially difficult to capture on the record?
Yeah, this is a good question. This is a very good question. What can we do now that we couldn't do then? Um, so I think this also boils down to trust. In the beginning, there was chemistry and there was excitement, and I think I was still getting used to being a front man, not just a guitar player. And that I actually found that much more difficult than I anticipated. It just demands a lot more of you to play guitar, sing, and be the conduit between the band and the audience. Um, so, I mean, part of maybe like what we can do is just, I think I'm just a better frontman now. I'm still growing and still getting better, and there's still days where I feel like I'm don't know what to do up there. Um, but that that is one thing. But another thing, and this comes down to trust, and part of me becoming better at being a frontman is just that I trust the other three band members so much. I know that they're gonna lift me up. But the other thing is that like we've been kind of wheeling and dealing a little bit more than I think we would have in the past. Like we'll throw in a cover that maybe we haven't tried all that much, you know? Like we will there's sometimes in the shows where we'll play a cover and just the like rehearsal beforehand we'll say, let's all switch instruments for this one. You know, like and that's like a really fun. I mean, you know, we do that in like looser scenarios when it's a good time. Um and then I think the big thing and something that we try to do at all of our like shows that we plan and that we're sort of supposed to be the centerpiece of is that we want other people on stage. We want to get either guests or other people from the bands that are playing on the bill to come and play songs with us. And I think the thing that we can do now that we can do before is just that like we can be so solid that they can come up and just add. They don't have to like do anything special. They can just like be on top and we know that we're going to be solid and they can just, add on top. And yeah, I love doing that at shows. At our release show, we ended with Angel from Montgomery and the lead singer from Haysop and Jane Hobson both came up on stage and sang with us and played harmonica, and it's just such a good time. That just those kind of things are just really special. So that I think we're much better at planning and doing those kinds of things in our live show. And then capturing that on the record, yeah, that's hard. So what we did to capture some of the live sound is that most of the bones of the record were recorded live. Guitar, drums, bass all together. My instinct in recording is I want layers of guitars. Like I really want things to weave in and out and like I don't want like my guitar part to just be like something that's kind of played all the way through. I want it to be many things that are kind of many different voices that are kind of coming in and out, maybe in the stereo field or whatever. And so that was a hard thing to balance. Whereas like I want this to feel live, and I want it to feel like layered and textured. And so I think we just really spent a lot of time getting the bass track, like not the bass guitar, but like the bass, the drums and the rhythm guitar and the bass just really solid. Like we recorded Calling It Quits on 3 different sessions. Like we probably did like 12 live band takes of that song, where, we would leave the session and feel like, okay, I think I got it. And then I would listen back and be like, we played it too slow, or we played it too fast, or the drum part isn't right, or, we really like there were songs where we really went back in and I think we were just careful in the beginning because that energy had to be there.
Before I let you go, I have to ask about all of the exquisite vocal harmonies on the album. There's some really beautiful moments, and This Doesn't End, among others. How did you develop your sense for harmonization on that level?
Oh, I can't take credit for any of that. Max has the ear for harmony. He is unbelievable. Um, I think he said when he was growing up, his dad they would play a game in the car, they would listen to the radio, and they would like race to the harmonies. So like if somebody got to the third first, then the other one would have to sing the fifth. So he just has an amazing ear. And then Sarah Geist sang a lot of the on a lot of the songs on the record, and she also is. I mean, she's like musical theater trained. She's she's got all the skills. So she was like an amazing addition on the record, and she's like a great friend of ours. Like so just having her around, I think being around so many great singers just like it helps for my own like harmonic understanding. And then finally, the other person I need to shout out is Mitch McAndrew, who is the producer on the record. Like he was around just kind of giving like high level kind of like maybe explore this, like you know. And on This Doesn't End in particular, like he did the Oz. Oh, he also did the oohs and ahs on Calling It Quits. And he just like I knew that I wanted some kind of oohs and ahs, and I was there kind of like guiding him as he was recording it, but he was just like, okay, pull up another track, we're doing this. Like he had that ready to go. And I also have to spill the beans that on This Doesn't End, what sounds like horns in the there's like a key change section. So when we're changing back to the original key, it sounds like this beautiful horn section comes in. That is Mitch doing mouth brass. That is Mitch going purr, 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 with his mouth, and it's incredible. It's so good. He's music just flows out of him. So yeah, I can't take credit for that. That's all these amazing musicians that we're surrounded by in Chicago.
First Light to Fill My Eyes, the debut full length album from Chicago's Holy Joke, is available now wherever you listen to your music. I'm Christine Davis for The Hook by Adventures in Americana. Greg, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so fun.